Hey there guys, thanks for joining us on another Gaming Night Top 5. Right, so I got Martin with me again. We did one of these last year, and I'll put a link below in the show notes of this video, so you can go check what we thought of what our best games we played for the first time this year, or in that case that year. So this is 2016.
It is.
And we've played a lot of good games, man.
A lot, yes. Just again, as I did last year, I'm doing Christmas to Christmas because again I got gifts for Christmas last year, which may have made the list. So I didn't want them falling off the edge. That if I played them between that Christmas New Year period, which is likely, obviously I wanted to include them, and so I've done the same again that I did this year. Yep, we played a lot of games. We were just looking at our logged games. I think we're both in excess, well in excess of 400 and coming up close to 5. And I've myself played for the first time over like 130 games, something like that. So I've smashed like a 1 by 100 challenge, apparently. Although 10 by 10, not so much.
No. That's the problem. In the group that we have a lot of good friends who all play games, all collect games as well. And as you can see, we're big avid collectors as well. So it's almost like on a weekly basis when we're playing games, we're playing a new game for the first time, and then we don't play it again for another 3 or 4 months. You know, if that. So it gets to a point where you rack up quite a few games, and the amount of games they're going to release this year. I mean, what were you saying? Something like 4,000 games released.
Something ridiculous like that at Essen. It was a crazy number. I mean, really, it's at the point now, and it's great for us as gamers, but it's at the point now where you can't really keep up in any way. And almost you shouldn't even try. I mean, great games come out and get sold out, and then it becomes an obsession to try and get a hold of them.
I.e. Terraforming Mars.
Yeah. And there's numerous of those that have happened this year where people just couldn't get hold of them. And to a degree, it's like I understand. Trust me, I understand that kind of desire to want to play those games. There are so many other great games that came out that people just overlook.
And if you're working on the basis of like thousands of new games every year for the last 5 years, there's so many games out there. I mean, one of the games on my list won the Spiel des Jahres in 2014, and I only played it for the first time this year.
Well, I can beat that. We'll get to that.
All right. So what we're going to do is we'll start. Should we start with?
Well, what I thought might be a good idea is: are there any games that came out this year that may or may not have made your top 5 list, or almost there, but you didn't get the opportunity to play, whether you didn't know anyone that owned it, or I've got a few myself, and I'll open with, because I suspect you might fancy it as well. The Colonists.
Yep.
That came out the end of this year. It seems like a heavy game, and from as I understand it can take 4 or 5 hours to do a full run through of it, but something about it that really appeals to me. It looks really good, and I would like to give that one a try.
Yeah, it looks really good.
So hopefully someone in our group will get it before too long.
I mean, I actually didn't hear much of it, and then I watched Rado's run through it, and I was like, actually, this seems really good. It really interests me.
It does, yeah. And I like what he did actually with the saving mechanism in it as well, because you can kind of, because it takes so long, you can kind of store where you've got to in the game, and he's come up with some kind of tweaks to that method to make it actually even better. So it's not like you just put out X many tiles or whatever. They're actually all in the right place and things like that to give that continuity of the game. I think that's cool. But yeah, that's certainly one. Any from you?
Yeah, I've got one. I know you've played it. Great Western Trail for me. I mean, I love the Western theme. I like Euro mechanics, and it just it seems like a heavy to medium game, and I think I'd really like it a lot. I haven't got around to playing it, obviously, and I think.
Well, I got it for Christmas.
Oh, you did.
So we can fix that soon enough. But yeah, it's a good one actually. Another one that I don't know whether you'd be on your list as well is Mechs vs Minions.
Yes.
I'd really like to try that.
Yeah.
It sounds interesting. It's from a publisher that doesn't do board games, and everyone has said it's like phenomenally kind of produced. The miniatures, there's loads in there for the price. And
myself, I definitely want to be.
I figured I didn't want to put words in your mouth, but I figured you might be attracted to it. But it just sounds really interesting. I quite like the kind of the drafting element, but there's a time limit, so you really can't sort of sit and ponder over the cards. You're kind of like forced to kind of just quickly take that, and obviously you've got the programming element to it. It just sounds really interesting. I'd like to give that a
It
go.
also seems like a step up on the programming. I mean, I like Robo Rally a lot, but Robo Rally can sometimes go on for friggin' ages.
Yeah,
Whereas this one seems like it moves along quickly.
yeah. But and it's co-op as well, which
Yeah.
is I mean, Robo Rally is funny, and it's funny to see someone fly off the edge or get shot
Repeatedly.
But in this, you're actually working together to try and do these things. You know, I can't believe you just went there. You know, you've screwed me up. I assume that's how it worked, but it looks really good anyway. Any others?
I'm sure there is. I can't think of any of that.
I've got Feast for Odin. I'd really like to try as well. And Inish was the other one. They're the other two that I'm waiting for. Inish, I think, is getting a release over here towards the end of January, so that'd be one I definitely pick up. Feast for Odin, on the other hand, I will probably try and play somebody's copy. It's such a big game, so expensive. I think to take a punt on it, I'm reluctant to do that. So I think I'd rather play somebody else's before I did that. But they're certainly for the games that have come out this year that I can remember anyway. There's certainly 4 that I'd really like to play. And interestingly enough, most of them will come out towards the end of the year, and have either had soft releases or come out Essen and then disappeared and things like that. So
I found this year to be quite a year of expansions as well.
There's been a lot.
Ton of expansions for games that I really like. When we were just talking about one earlier, Hyperborea.
Yeah.
And a really good looking expansion. Seven Wonders Duel.
Yeah.
Camel Up.
Deus got one. Alchemist's got one.
Yes, Alchemists. So many expansions for all the really good games. So on top of all the new games that you're playing and the old games, you're just trying to get some more plays in. There's expansions to all the games. So there's just like too many games.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, certainly. Yeah.
All right, should we start with the top 5, or should we do an honourable mention first?
Okay, let's do the top 5. I think.
All right. Do you want to start with your?
Okay. All right, my number 5. I played this for the first time a couple of months ago, I think, and I really liked it. It appealed to my sensibilities, my gaming background and whatnot. And then I played it again recently. And it reminded me how much I like about it, and to a bit more detail. And my number 5 is Role Player. Now, this is for anyone that's played D&D out there. This is essentially you creating a character in Dungeons and Dragons. The stats are all the same. You get a race, you get a backstory, you get a class, you get an alignment. And you just go through and you do your statistics and you get equipment and skills and whatnot. And at the end of the game, you basically have a character which could easily slip into a D&D campaign. And it's just really interesting. The game is solid, and I quite like the kind of narrative that it builds around it. I mean, it's really tempting to like name your character, and you know, you kind of see the kind of how it would fit into a role play group and whatnot, a fantasy game. And I think it's great. I really think it's got legs, and I can't wait to play it more. To be honest, I've only played it a few times now, but I think it's great. Really like it.
I've not actually played it yet, but I suspect I might be playing it tonight.
Hopefully, yeah. I think we should.
Well, I actually remember seeing this on Kickstarter a while back, and I remember looking at it thinking, I'm actually interested in this. It looks interesting, but there was things that put me off. A, I'm not a role player.
Yeah.
And ironically to the name. And B, I didn't recognise the company.
No. Well, I saw it on Kickstarter as well. This is a retail copy, and the single thing that put me off was the shipping cost. It was inordinate. It was basically the game again in price. So thankfully it got a retail release, and it's over here, and here it is. I would say you don't have to have any kind of role play background to enjoy the game at all. But I think if you do have that, it just elevates it for you, because you can make those links and associations there with the kind of things you're doing and the character and all that. But I have no problem thinking that you will like it, because you're making a character up, you know. Yeah. It makes sense to you, you know, what you're doing. So
it's Thunderbird Games.
Apparently so, yeah.
And Keith Mateshka.
If you say so. Yeah. So there you go. There's my number 5, Role Player.
Okay. So my number 5, as we mentioned before, we've played a ton of games through over the years, and a lot of the times when I make up these lists, I don't always choose what is functionally the best game, but what game I can think back over the year and think I've had a lot of fun playing this game. And every time I bring it out, it's a blast, no matter who I play it with, and I enjoy it a lot. And this particular one, my number 5, I've not actually played. It's been out for ages, and I've never played it. I've been wanting to play it all the time. Get around to it. Go to the expo, and you go, oh, I'll pick that up, and then something else draws your eye in, and you forget about it, or you go to a gaming group, and there's so many options to play, it just slips under the radar. But finally, I picked it up, and it's Camel Up from Pegasus Spiel. And I tell you what, I freaking love this game. It's so funny. You can play with, as people don't like to be called, muggles.
Apparently, yeah, apparently it's a sensitive word to use.
But I play this with my family. I play this with proper board gamers or new board gamers, whatever, and it just goes down superbly well. So simple. You're just basically trying to make as much money as you can from betting on the camels, and they can do funny things. And I've seen camels come up from so far behind that everyone's placing their bets, going, "Yeah, he's coming last. He's coming last." To him actually winning the race, it's just a superb game. Really, really fun. I'm really looking forward to playing it more, and I'm also really looking forward to trying the Super Cup expansion.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a solid game. I think good fun. I mean, I've played it at several clubs where people haven't played it, and really really liked it. Wanted to play it again immediately because it only takes probably 3/4 of an hour,
Yeah.
something like that. It's just one lap around that course. And it's really good fun. In fact, it says 30 minutes there, so maybe it's even less.
It's one of my games that also, when I go to one of the local gaming clubs here in Luton and that sort of stuff, I always take this with, because once we've done something for the evening and we want to just relax and have a little laugh, this game goes down superbly well. Also, like another favourite of ours, which is Rhino Hero.
Yes, very much so. We'll get back to Rhino Hero, although spoiler, it's not on my list. But
So that's our number 5s.
indeed. Right, my number 4, changing tack somewhat, is this Behemoth Rebellion. I'm a massive Star Wars fan. When this got announced, I thought it sounded really intriguing, and when I finally got to play it, I think it's fair to say I was blown away by it. I thought the choices that you made, particularly as the rebel, because you really feel up against it, the rebels. The choices you get to make are really interesting. You're trying to decide on, do I use my leaders to do missions, or do I use my leaders to actually maneuver myself around the board or whatever? Do I almost hide my base in plain sight? Do I never look at the place to give anything away to the Imperial players? Anything? There's loads of narratives going on. Like the first 2 games I played of it, I was playing the rebels, and Leia both got captured and then turned to the dark side, which wasn't very funny. It's an awesome game. They really did a great job with it. The components are excellent. The miniatures are superb. And it's just loads of fun. And I think it's fair to say that you don't have to be a Star Wars fan to gain enjoyment out of it at all. I think it helps when you are, because you can do kind of like in-jokes, like I played it with Jason and I knew he wasn't, and so I put the rebel base on places that were kind of mentioned in the movie. I think I put them on Dantooine, because there's a scene where Leia says they're on Dantooine, and I knew he wouldn't know that, so I knew he wouldn't kind of get that. But in my head, I'm chuckling, things like that, because it's cool to be able to do that. It's so good. I think it's great. I wouldn't change it, to be honest. I mean, it's quite a long one, but I think as a counterpart, if you like things like War of the Ring, it's a nice counterpart to that. It's another one of those lengthy 2-player thinky games that are both, different on either side how you play it, and it's great. Star Wars in a box, as Dice Tower say.
I hate that saying.
But it is way more Star Wars in a box than something like Imperial Assault.
Yeah, no, I agree. I love this game a lot as well. Like Martin said, I like the Star Wars stuff. I like the Star Wars movies and things, but I grew up in a different world where it wasn't a big thing. And I remember playing this with Martin and thinking, this game is awesome. It's so much fun. I love hide and seek games, what I call hide and seek games, like Spectre Ops, Fury of Dracula, Incognito, those type of things. I like those games because it's that when you're playing the one side where you have knowledge that the other players don't, and the other side where you desperately trying to find knowledge to find what's going on. And I love that. It's a really interesting aspect.
It's done really interestingly in this one as well, because so you have a deck of cards which represent every system in the galaxy, and the rebel player will choose where the rebel base is and then put that card away. And so obviously that card's not in there. So what the Imperials are doing, they're trying to look through this deck to try and narrow down where they are. However, they get cards from that every turn. The rebels don't know where the Imperials know. So if you're trying to bluff, that makes it very hard because you don't know what information the Imperials already got. And that makes for some really funny times as well because like the Imperial player knows you're bullshitting, but you don't know that he knows you're bullshit. That's really clever. It's really funny. It's a great game.
Fantastic fun. And when you're the rebel player and you're waiting, the Darth Vader side is getting so close, and they're like surrounding you, but they haven't found you yet. It's just like your bum was going like this.
Yes.
Man. It's such a good game. A game that can create that feeling in you while playing is just awesome.
But there's really good strong narratives in there as well, where this mission was done on this planet and that led to that happening. But while I was doing that, Vader came down there and did that and took that and things.
Yeah,
like you look back and there's a story. That
like when me and you were playing, I captured Leia, and then I knew he was gonna try and rescue her, so I used Boba Fett to cancel any missions in that area.
It's painful.
and then she got turned.
Yes, she did. It was bad, painful. But there we go. That's my number 4.
I'll keep that.
Okay. Not your number 4 then.
No, my number 4 is another game from Repos Productions called Seven Wonders Duel. Now, I played Seven Wonders, the original game, obviously from Repos, a while back. When the Birmingham Expo was still in like major metro
in
Birmingham,
the middle of Birmingham,
yeah, in some sort of museum and stuff. And I love drafting. I love drafting as a mechanic, and I didn't really gel with Seven Wonders. I felt it was really odd that you only cared about the people to your left and right, and the people opposite the table, I don't even care what you're doing. And I didn't gel with that very well, and I just felt the game was a little lackluster, I think. So I never really got into Seven Wonders. As the expansions came out, I thought it got better, and I didn't mind it. But when this came out, it's only 2-player, but it's brilliant. I love how many decisions there is in this game. That it blows my mind every time I play it. And every time someone comes over where there's only there's only 2 of us on the day, it's the first game I think of, like, let's play this. Because I just enjoy so many of the decisions. Every time you do an action, it's like you're thinking of 100 different things. Like, if I take this, it could open something up for you, which could really detriment me. I know you're going the military route, so I need to take this military card, but this card is really good for me. Do I build this to give me another options? And
that way they've done the kind of 2-player drafting thing is very clever.
Yeah.
Kind of, so you have cards uncovered. There was a PC game that did similar kind of thing where if you take that card, it uncovers 2 more, and then they're available to buy, or they flip over and they're revealed and then available to buy as well. And there's a real element of, I don't want to be the one to release that card so then he can buy it. So I need to engineer a situation where they're forced to do that almost and get rid of that card, or buy that card to then
you could even
free it up for yourself.
Even in a 2-player game, you get hate drafting as well, where it's like, I'm going to take this and ditch it for money just because I don't want you to have it.
That's even worse, isn't it? If you take it and use it for yourself, it's not about ditching it for money. It's just like, why? I needed it. I find it interesting as well, for those that are keeping track of last year's video, I actually recommended this to you. If you remember, I said I think you and Carla would really like it, and it turns out I was spot on.
It's fantastic. I love this game. I'm so looking forward to getting an expansion, and even now, after so many plays of this with all the different people I've played it with, I enjoy it so much.
When you play it right.
Yes, of course, yeah. But it's fantastic. I love it. And also, I don't feel that there's 3 ways of winning, which is the military, science, and economic or civilian. And I don't think any one of them are better than any other. It's just the way the cards come out and the way your opponent is playing. And so many times I've gone, right, I'm going to go science this turn, and then it doesn't quite work out because the other opponent knows what you're doing, and then you just have to adjust your strategy as you're going.
Yeah,
it's really, really good.
The military route, in a lot of these kind of Civ type games, the military route is, I'm winning at the expense of you losing almost, so I'm getting hammered, and so it's stopping me from almost enjoying the game. Whereas in this, because it's that tug of war track, when you're getting hit with military, you don't feel like I am being completely screwed.
Yeah, I'm not.
If you ignore it, exactly that. Yeah, you're not. It's not damaging your game playing it, but if you ignore it, obviously they might just tip it and pull it to their side. That's fine, but it's not actively hurting you, and I think that's probably a benefit as well.
Yeah,
you don't feel like you're pushing water uphill. All you have to do is kind of put half an eye on it, fend it off, and you're okay. It's not actually damaging you.
There's just a lot of replayability in this little box as well.
Well, I mean, to be fair, look at the designers. They're too fair.
Yeah.
What they do is gold generally.
They're really, really good. But yeah, that's my number 4. No, that way around.
Good choice.
Seven Wonders Duel, fantastic game. Right, so that's our number 4s. Number 3.
Okay. My number 3, I did get for Christmas last year. And I don't know when it came out. I think it was last year itself. Oyons, the bag building Euro game. I've had a few bag builders in my time, but I think this one probably takes the cake. It's just great, to be honest. I love. It's kind of like a deck builder, really, but the bag builder, you're kind of engineering your bag to do or exercise your strategy in there, sort of thing. There's a few routes you can up, your farming and get some tech things, or you can explore the map and put down your guild halls, whatever they're called. You can do numerous different things, and I just think there's lots of strategic possibilities in there. There's just something really nice about building that engine in your bag, working what you've got. Do I do this now, or do I put some of these figures down on another spot and kind of save it for another turn or whatever, and just lots of cool elements to it. And I just think it's great. Doesn't overstay its welcome. In the box says 90 minutes. I think that's probably fair. Yeah, I just think it's great. I've upgraded. I got the deluxe DLP components, and I think they add dramatically to the feel of the game as well. Your bag, when you've got a lot of workers in there, it feels like there's some heft to it, and you're drawing them out, and they're just visually more appealing as well. I think it's great.
Those are the cubes on the back. I don't even remember seeing them. Oh no, the cubes are the resources. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a great game as well. I'm a big fan of bag builders as well. I don't know why, because bag builder, you're right, it's just like a deck builder game. But it's just something about it. I really enjoy it a lot. I mean, I love Orleans, I love Hyperborea. I've even got King's Pouch over there, which is a very obscure bag building title.
Automobiles came out this year, is another good one.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one as well. I think Hyperborea is probably my favourite bag builder, because it has a little more of the type of genre that I like. But this is super close. I mean, I really enjoy this one a lot. And what I like about this one as well, generally games like this of this sort of nature, not bag building, but resource production, resource conversion, that sort of thing, they tend to be multiplayer solitaire games. But this one, more than any, I think is the opposite, because whenever I play this, I'm always looking what you're doing, where you're going with that, so I can.
Well, that map element as well.
Yeah.
You tend to find that someone's getting close. You're like, I have to move now, because if I don't, that resource is going to get taken by that guy. Or I have to put down my guild hall now, or I'll lose the opportunity. That space will be gone, and things like that. So.
And also, like the area control on the resource tracks. If you're going loads of farmers, it's like, well, I need to get some farmers in there before
because you get hit. The person in last place gets hit, don't they, negatively, and the fact they give it to the person in first place, sort of thing. So there's that kind of like, I'm trying to stay ahead, and then there's the other things like if priests are going quickly, you need to get the priest before someone else, and you want to still get the knights because they allow you to draw more figures. Yeah. So it's so much to this game there, and then of course you've got that stack of tiles with all the personal. So you get like personal worker placement spots essentially. So I can't remember which one does it, but essentially you gain a tile which nobody else can use, and it gives you a personal power, which is very cool. Yeah, and you want to get that tile before someone else gets it if you have a strategy in mind. So this is a really top class game. So I really enjoy it a lot. Yeah, I think it's a good one. Terrible artwork, but I know some people that like it. I mean, it's very kind of like that kind of Dark Ages feel to it. It's not to my taste, I've got to be honest, but no, it does the job, I guess. But it certainly gives it a unique feel to it. But I definitely don't let it put you off. No, I definitely agree as well with the component upgrades. It makes it component upgrades are generally cool anyway. Generally, yeah, I would say. But yeah, this is a fantastic game. Really good choice. Sure. Right, my number 3 is Star Wars Rebellion. I think we've mentioned this before. Yes, it came up. Yeah. It's just a great game. I'm not going to go too much in detail because obviously we mentioned everything about it before. But I am probably out of the geeky world that we belong to, I am probably low down on the list of people that know a lot about Star Wars. There's no probably about it. He just described them as the Darth Vader side. But I mean, it's just such a good game. The idea of trying to find information and build your, it's not like just like Inspector Ops.
you basically, if you're playing the hunter, literally all you're doing is you're just moving along, trying to avoid the other guys and get to your objectives, tag it, and move along. Where this one, it feels to me, this is by far my favorite hide and seek game, because it feels like there's a whole other game going on other than just hide and seek.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like if you're playing the Darth Vader side, you're building up
Imperials, we like to call them.
building up your forces, you're taking over planets, gaining more resources. So it's like you're actively taking over the galaxy.
Absolutely, yeah.
And when you're playing the rebels, you basically feel like you're running uphill against this overwhelming force.
Very much, yeah.
And it's just fantastically well done. I mean, it's so good.
Yeah, I mean, what you did in the game we played, he was specifically taking planets which gave you the maximum build stuff, because there are some planets with like one build symbol on and one with two.
Yeah.
And you were going specifically to take the two ones, so you could basically overwhelm with forces even more readily than you already were.
Yeah.
And also it was limiting what I could do, subjugating planets that I already took, and so where I could spawn and whatnot was dwindling, and it was really hurting me. And there's not much you can do about it, to be honest.
Say you crush a rebellion.
Yeah,
man.
he really did smack me as well. It's bad.
But no, it's great. I mean, and like you don't need to know Star Wars to even enjoy the game as much as it is. It's fantastic. So good. I really enjoy this a lot more than I actually thought I would. And I've not actually played War of the Ring, and I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan.
We should play that.
Yeah, so I should get on that. Because if I like this that much, how can I not like that?
I mean, don't get me wrong. They are different games, and they're cut from the same cloth, should we say, but they mechanically are very different, and what they're doing is very different, but they are both long two-player games. Both sides are fairly different.
Lots of strategy.
Yeah, I mean, again, the Sauron forces overwhelm the light, the free people.
And this track as well that shows you how this track is the.
I can't see that.
Oh yeah, this track that.
Oh yes, yeah. Essentially the turn count.
Yeah,
thing,
this freaking thing, yeah. It's as the Imperial side. You sit and look at that track all the time, thinking, I need to move my ass here. I need to find that rabbit. It's just good. Such a good game. If you haven't played it, go play it.
No, I agree completely.
And don't be put off by the time, man. I never get this thing about, it's 4 hours, I can't play that. If a game is good and it keeps you involved for 4 hours, I'd rather play that than 4 little mediocre games.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Right, so what was that, number 3?
It was.
Alright. So now we go on to number 2s.
Okay, my number 2 is the one that puts Jason's 2014 to shame. Is this monster, which I also received as a Christmas, kind of a Christmas and thanks for working for me gift from Barney at the CCG and Board Game Social.
Wait, did you say that?
I got it right, yeah. El Grant, obviously this is the big box version, which got re-released. But this is an old, probably the first area control game. And I can see why it's regarded as a classic. I think it's brilliant. It's just lots of choices. It's just so much going on, so many interesting, like, do I pick that power? It's really good, which lets me put a lot on the board, but that ability is not quite as useful to me, or do I pick that power, which is really good for me, but actually it's limiting how much I can do. My initiative card, the way you select those, I need some more in my pool, so I need to go, later on, but I need to go before you, because if you don't, and then you're trying to remember what other people have played in terms of initiative cards, so many things to think about. I love the castle, the Castellan, where you're throwing your meeples in and you're like, I'm pretty sure you've only got 1 in there, so I'm fine if I do that. And then you're releasing it. Why did you put 5 in there? There's so many cool things in there. I think it's a superb game, and I can see why it's considered a classic. El Grant.
If you had to choose, would you choose this or Shogun?
They're quite different games, but I think I'd go El Grant over Shogun. As much as I like Shogun quite a lot, it's extremely random, and whilst that is amusing, there is very, very little random, if any, in this, other than the kind of 5 events you choose from each turn, and so that means you rise and fall on your own strategy and how you play it, whereas Shogun is, I'm going to hit you with these forces, where did they all go? They disappeared in the tower.
Stuck in the tower,
and that's hilarious to play, don't get me wrong, but it's not as conducive to a great strategy game as this is, and I think this is a superb one.
I've only played this once. We played this at the Expo, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
and I thought it was really good as well. I've not played any of the expansion stuff, just the literally
Nor
the
have
base.
I still.
Oh really?
No.
Just the base game, and I thought it was really good too. Like what it says, the choices you make is what you if you make bad choices, you're gonna get your ass handed to you. And it's really clever, and there's a lot of things to think about with the area control, moving your stuff around, trying to manipulate your initiative cards so that you can get the best out
The
of them.
initiative cards are very clever. So you've got, I think it's 1 to 13.
Mm.
The lower down ones generate more work or
Soldiers,
or whatever into your pool, and the higher up ones have nothing on there. So you have a pool of people that you can put on the board, and obviously that dwindles as you put them on. So you need to keep that stocked up by putting low cards, but obviously if you put a low card down, the chances are someone's going to go before you and do the thing that you want to do. So there's a real balancing thing there. And then the thing that you choose to do determines how many you can put on the board. And obviously the lower down you go there, the more you can put on, or vice versa. But their abilities on the cards are different, or maybe don't work for your strategy so much. So there's lots of like balancing of, you know, do I do this and then that, or do I do that? You know, do you bust out your 13 really early so you know you're going first? But then, you know, by the time turn 8 comes around, where you really need to go first, someone hasn't played their 13, thinks shit. They play that, I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, it's really cool. I like it a lot.
What's quite interesting as well is that because it's not a direct attacking thing, but it's quite subtly.
It is quite passive aggressive.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm not actively attacking you, but I am putting all my guys in there.
Yeah, I am
Your major
actually
scoring
destroying you.
Or I'll put one of those like mobile scoring takers on there, which has turned your big scorer into basically not worth very much. You're like, what the hell?
Yeah, why are you picking on me, man?
Yeah,
But
because you've got all the way around the board. Yeah, it's a great one. I love it.
When did this come out? What was it?
This version of it came out tail end of last year, I think. However, the original one, I think, was probably something like 2004 or something like that. I mean, I'm sure I could find it somewhere.
Wolfgang Kramer. And
it was a long time ago.
Yeah, this
In fact, it says to celebrate 20 years, so maybe even 95.
Friggin' hell. So
Yeah, I did tell you it put Camel Cup to shame.
That really is a long way away.
Yeah, I feel a little bit disingenuous maybe putting it on the list, but I did play it for the first time this year, and I think it's great. So.
Yeah, that is the idea of the list. My number 2 is Mare Nostrum from Academy Games. Obviously, this came out this year. We picked this up on the Kickstarters, and man, when I backed this, I thought this looks cool. I like the idea. I like the idea of the sort of historical element to it. You know, with all the Romans, Greeks, and those type of things. I'm a massive fan of mythical stuff. Same with the Seven Wonders Jewel. I like the idea of Minotaurs and Greeks, Trojans, that sort of stuff. It's really cool. I like the idea of the theme, and there was a lot of stuff that came with it. I remember when we were back to Kickstarter, it was just emails every day of all the stuff that was coming with it, and I just stopped looking after a while. Because one thing with Kickstarter, you wait ages for the games. But when it finally turned up, we played a few games of it, and I was completely blown away. I just thought it was like, holy shit, this game.
It's very simple as well.
Yeah,
which is,
and fast as well. You can get a game done easily, 45 minutes to an hour sometimes.
You certainly can do, yeah.
And there's so many choices. There's so many interesting mechanics going on with such simplicity in the gameplay. I mean, it's 5 phases, and they go just like this. And if you're not paying attention, you're gonna get absolutely destroyed. But it's not like I have not seen any player elimination or anything like that. I'm not even sure if it is possible because you still have the main capital in the
Not
middle.
really, yeah. You can always spawn there. You know?
But there's every game I've played of it is gone down different routes. I've tried going down different winning routes, and I've won 2 different ways already. It's just really good. Components are really good.
Particularly if you have the buildings, which are a separate box, and to a lesser degree the poker chips. Although the poker chips are arguably nicer, they're considerably more expensive. But the buildings are really add to it, I think.
And it's just there's so much other stuff as well. Like you got the 5 and 6 player expansion boards. It's really clever with the way they do the map, where you can cut off to make it smaller.
That's some really good tight design stuff in there as well. Where this strip here, if we cover that up, then it's only for a 4 player or whatever. It's a really clever sort of an eye on how to limit the number of players or whatever. It's very clever. Each of the bust sculpts are unique to the different races as well. And we discovered after a couple of games that they've even got the weapon that they use actually just on the base as well. So it's just like completely irrelevant almost, but it's like, man, that's a really cool design choice as well. All of your games, 90 degrees.
Yeah.
It rationally bugs me anyway. But
Like,
yes, I agree completely. It was on my shortlist, Mare Nostrum. I do like it. I wouldn't say I gravitate towards a kind of more war game as such. And this is, while there is that kind of training element, it is basically you just get up in people's face and just fighting relentlessly.
especially if you play one of the northern races.
Yeah, yeah. But I think it's great, really, really good. And like you say, I mean, it can, particularly if you're not paying attention, you can give someone that pyramid win accidentally just by putting the wrong stuff out to trade. And they go, oh, thanks very much, I needed that one. I've won. You're like, crap, I didn't even see that coming. So you need to pay attention to what you're doing as well.
What's interesting about it is because it's not a very long game. I mean, like when you play Civ or Clash of Cultures, those type of things, you're looking at 2, 3, sometimes even 4 hours. Where this, you can get this done in an hour, hour and a half, and it's quite tight as well. Few times I've played this game where someone has won on the same turn as me that I was going to win, but because the way it works is if someone's in charge of the turn order track, they'd say, all right, you take your turn first, then you take your turn first, and I'm going to win this turn, but someone else has gone before me, and they've gone, I've won.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah, I've seen it happen in most games I've played where there was at least one other person that could have won if they'd have gone beforehand, sort of thing. So it shows that it's tightly designed, it's very well balanced.
And it's not. I don't think it's overly aggressive. I mean, maybe we just
No. I mean, I've played more games of it where it's been almost Cold War, like where nobody wants to make that first move, and so you're up against each other's borders, and you're just bolstering up there, and then when someone does attack you, all hell breaks loose. Everyone's attacking everyone. But
I'm waiting for the game where there's like a world war goes on, because what normally happens is 2 people attack each other, and the other 2 gain the benefits from that.
Yeah.
It's like, well, those 2 are going to destroy each other now. If me and you just have this Cold War thing going on, it's a race between us 2 to see who wins.
Yeah.
Well, I'm more interested to see what happens where it gets to the point where these 2 attack each other, and then these 2 jump in as well, and just clear the board like some sort of nuclear disaster.
Yeah, it's really really well done. They've all the races feel kind of different. They've got different benefits. Everyone's kind of got a different starting setup as well. Might have some more troops but less buildings, so they get less gold. But they've got that aggressive
starting powers.
All the starting powers are different as well. So it's cool. I really like it.
It almost feels like it's a game made for me, because it's my type. I like the theme. I like the idea. The area control, the combat, everything. All of that stuff is just up my street. It's just a fantastic game, really good. It's because I also got Thief, which I kind of like, but it's a little love-hate relationship with Thief. Whereas this one is just top quality, really, really good. And like Martin says, if you get the extra bonus components, the buildings and stuff, it just alleviates the game to a new level.
Agreed.
Well, that's number 2, isn't it?
It is.
All right, so on to number 1.
Okay, my number 1 now. I played this not that long ago, and I honestly bought it, and I wasn't sure whether I'd be selling it straight away because I'd heard a couple of negative things about it, and I played it and I thought it was superb. And since then, I played it several more times, and it came out fairly recently, and it is this bad boy. I played it several times now, and I think every time I play it, I absolutely love it, and I can't wait to play it again. Terraforming Mars. It's one of the ones that's been the hotness, certainly in the last sort of month or 2, people clamouring to get it. Obviously, it's another one that got a soft release at Essen, and then nobody can get it in this country, and we got dribs and drabs of it over here. But it's absolutely awesome. I love the feeling of escalation in there, the building up on the planet, the combinations you can make between cards and whatnot, and the kind of the narrative that's being built in there of I'm injecting kind of microbes and bacteria and things like that, and then someone brings in pets to the cities and things like that, and it's building up there, and then a huge ice asteroid collides into the planet, and the temperature increases and water increases and things like that. Just so many cool things going on there, and I think it's great. I absolutely love it. I've not played a bad game of it yet.
I think it's crap. No, Jackie. I guess it was really good too. I mean, I thought about putting it on my list, but there was a couple of things that brought it down a little lower for me. One, I've not actually played it that much. 2, I think the components are not up to what I would like for a game like this.
I completely agree. I mean, the component, I've been fairly vocal on Facebook about the components of it. I think they are fairly poor. and for the cost that you're paying
Yeah,
for this,
I mean, components
are
wise,
very poor.
it's not like it's terrible components, but it's just for the cost you're paying. I mean, it was like a 60 quid game.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't pay that admittedly, but yes, it's you know, 55, 60 pound game, and the component, it's like a 30 pound game in component wise. And I understand that you're paying for more than the components. Believe me, I do. But at the end of the day, when you take something home, you've got the components to show for it primarily. I mean, when you compare it to Rebellion, which isn't dissimilar in price, you look at what you get in there and you think, Jesus Christ, you know, there is a huge disparity.
Or even more in Nostrum.
Absolutely, yeah. You've got all those unique miniatures and whatnot. So, I mean, it doesn't detract from the game for me personally, but I can totally understand why people would perceive that as a negative, because I am with you on that, but I think the game is enough to rise above.
On gameplay on its own, it's really, I love drafting, and that's what we play with the drafting.
Absolutely.
Period.
I mean, I would advocate that as being bordering on essential, the draft, because it mitigates that. Oh, you got 4 great cards that supplement your strategy. I got 4 rubbish cards which are no use to me at all, so all I do is ditch them, and you buy all 4 of yours, and then you can keep them in your hand for as long as you need, and then play them when you want them. And so, I mean, it says it's a variant in the back. I would say always play that, and I have always played that. I mean, I can't imagine not.
I know this is 1 to 5.
Yeah, you can do a single player. Yeah, I haven't tried it. I haven't needed to, if I'm honest, but I could do. Yeah, I think it's absolutely brilliant. I absolutely love it. Every game of it I've played, I've loved. Every game of it I've played is kind of gone differently as well. Like you've got 3 elements to it. You've got the oceans, you've got the temperature, you've got the oxygen. And every time I've played, one of those has kind of gone down really quickly, and another one has taken a long time. And so different cards, because you've got prerequisites on some of the cards, different cards have come out before others and things like that. And just great. I really like it a lot.
Yeah, it's a good game. I mean,
I do feel a bit cheap putting it as my number 1, because I don't know, but I think because it's the hotness, if you like, or certainly one of, I feel like it's almost like I'm bragging, look what I've got, but it's really not that.
Well, there's a reason.
It lives up to the hype. Yeah, I really do.
And I mean, like I said, I enjoyed the game as well. I don't enjoy it in terms of overall package as much as you do, because we mentioned the components. I'm also not the theme as good as it is in the game, and it makes complete sense. It's thematic. It's not really the theme I would gravitate to. Like I mentioned in our video that we do, I like, if I had to like a Martian theme, I'd like what's the one where you
Mission Red Planet.
Mission Red Planet, that type of thing, which is a little more fantastical steampunk sort of thing. This one is a little more historic and not sort of
or future almost.
Yeah,
but I really like the idea of taking a barren wasteland almost and building that up to be habitable, and seeing how, you know, seeing where the cities are going to go, and seeing where the grassland is, and you know where the oceans are forming. So that's really interesting to me. I'm not a particularly strong science background in any way, but I think that's very cool. And I do wonder how scientifically correct a lot of the things happening in there are.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to know.
I think it's great, and I think it's easily expandable as well. I mean, because you've got thousands, well, certainly hundreds of cars and thousands of combinations in there. You can quite easily add more to it. And
I think I've heard there's an expansion in the works, isn't it? Well,
awesome.
I think it was more than one expansion.
Give me more, I'll buy them immediately.
Have you ordered your overlays yet?
No, they're very expensive. Someone in the UK needs to make them at a reasonable cost, because they're not essential, but I think they will dramatically improve the playing of it.
It's a good game, and there's a reason why it's everyone loves it and it is a hotness, because it's
I think so.
a really, really good game. I mean, there's also not infinite replayability, but there's a lot of replayability to that, because you've got a stack of cards like this to play with, and you start with the different corporations as well, and you know, the different combinations that have come out of that. It's just really cool.
I agree. My number 1.
All right, so my number 1 might be a little controversial. Because it's another Fantasy Flight game, which is quite interesting.
Upside down.
Is Ruinbound? Is the 2nd edition? Third edition, and this hasn't gone down, I don't think, amongst the community as I would have thought, and mainly due to a few different things. I played 2nd edition. I had 2nd edition, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really, really good game. I mean, you introduced it to me way back, and I picked up my own copy eventually, because I love the idea. If you've got your character, you're moving around on the map, and you're building up your armor, your allies, your weapons, your skills, and you're going to complete a quest, and it's really fantastical and epic in scope. It's really cool. But the second edition had a couple of problems. One, which was length of time. You can't play it 4 players. That's just ridiculous. Yeah, some of the people will fall asleep at the table. It's so freaking long and downtimey. And this doesn't really alleviate that. It's still 4 players. It's just you can't play 4 players. It still has a lot of downtime, and there's still situations that arise. Like, for example, I watched a video on YouTube from Inside the Box, who did not a review. They just do game videos, and they did it perfectly. It's so funny. You should definitely check that out on this. Which was, if me and you are like, if I'm fighting the boss and you're acting the boss, if there's another person at the table, you might as well go make some coffee and stuff.
Nice.
Because they're not involved in this at all, which is a massive detriment, I guess.
This is #1 game.
Yeah, I know.
Really selling it.
Yeah. But on the flip side, there's some fantastic additions that they made to this. I mean, the one thing that everyone was suspect about, and same with me when I heard about it, was the POG system. You know, you got these little ruins, and you cast them out like that, and then you do combat based on that. And I remember thinking, this sounds gash. But when I played it, it was excellent. Probably one of the best combat systems I've played all year. And it's just
innovative.
Yeah, it's really strategic. I mean, it brought the strategy level of what you're doing and how you grow your character. When you grow your character, you've got that character and you start off with just those 3 little pogs, or whatever they're called, ruins. And you feel like inferior. When you go into a combat, you feel like whatever that comes out of that deck could kick my ass.
Because they're basically just, they're 2-sided tokens, aren't they?
Yeah.
And you just, as I understand it, I've not played it, saying how great it is, and he still hasn't had a game with me. But anyway, you throw them down, and obviously the side they land on is, I guess they've got hits and defences and surges or something like that, skill use, whatever. And as I understand it, you go backwards and forwards choosing a token you're going to use. So I choose one of mine, you choose one of yours, blah, blah, blah. And there are things that can flip them over, so you can activate other powers and things like that. So there's that kind of... I think there's more versatility there. Even though there's less size, there's more versatility than there are in dice, which is interesting.
Yeah, and what's really cool about it as well is when you go to the shop and you say, for instance, buy armor. The armor might go, it gives you an ability, but it gives you a pog, it gives you, say, 2 defense pog, and on the other side, it might have a surge or something like that. So when you add that to your little deck of pogs, you feel like you're growing in power. You know, I've got this armor, now I've got this new sword, which gives me these extra pogs, and when I throw them onto the table, I'm like, yeah, I'm now whatever comes out of the deck, I'm gonna kick its ass. You know, that sort of growth that's really cool. I really enjoy that a lot.
What about the scenarios or the story in there? Because there's two in the box. Now, without expansions, how much do you think replayability wise is there? Can you play the same one over and over and over again and be fine with that?
To a point, yes. Like, for example, the mission that they suggest you play is against the dragon. I've played that dragon 3 times now. The first 2 times were awesome. The third time was a little bit. I'm getting, I'm had enough with the dragon now.
Yeah.
You know, the other scenario, which is against the necromancer, I've not even beat the necromancer yet because it's quite tough. How much of that is replayability in terms of like constantly running against the brick wall over and over? I'm not sure. But they did bring out quite a few other scenarios, and also what's really cool is the characters are all different as well. So if you're playing the dwarf, you feel tanky. And you build your character based on that tanky. So when you're playing the dragon with the dwarf, he's different to playing, say, the wizard against the dragon. So that's quite different. And then when you're going through the missions as well, like there's other cards that added to the decks from those particular scenarios, which change it up. So there's quite a lot of replayability to it. But it's just every time I've played it, I've had such a good time. I mean, I've only played 2- and 3-player games. I've not played a 4-player game because I didn't want to go down that route. But when we were playing the 3-player game, it was still fun enough where if I'm fighting against someone, then you fight the villain for me, and we go around that way. And it's quite interesting watching what's happening. There's also the element of if I'm playing the villain against you, I want to hurt you.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there thinking, well, it's not just a question of I'll roll the dice. You beat the tough one.
Does it have any interaction between, like direct interaction between the players? Like in the 2nd edition, you could actively attack people.
Yeah.
If you wanted to.
Well, yeah,
I never saw it happen.
And you can also there's quest cards in not force you, but like go if you go attack him, you can do something better. So there's that. I must admit, it never really comes up a lot because it's almost like on a time limit. You know, this thing's ticking down,
Yeah.
and you're trying to beef up, because if you don't beef up, you've got no chance of beating the boss.
I'm definitely interested to try it, if only to compare it to Second Ed. I quite like Second Ed. I mean, Jason's pointed out the flaws in Second Ed. It's long and downtime's bad. I can imagine playing it with, you know, Ethan, my son, later, maybe Aidan when he gets a bit older as well. Because it's got that kind of narrative. It's not really direct conflict there, and just kind of having an adventure sort of thing, and that's quite cool sometimes. You know, it's like reading a flying fantasy book or something. So I'd like to compare them. I understand that the original game, first and second ed, was kind of like more like zoomed out, and you've got a larger map and more expanse. You got, you know, mountains down here, and you got the woods up there, the river, that sort of thing. Whereas this one's kind of like more zoomed in, so you've only got a couple of towns.
That's actually, I wonder how they're going to expand that in the future, because that's one of the things I'm actually a little. It's like the map is always the same. You know, so I always know where this castle is and where that city is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how they did the original one was very, very clever. So you had a board with a map on it, and the expansion, the big box expansion, just had a map that you just laid over the top of it. And so the outside, the bits where the cards sat and all that was all the same, but the actual map was just different, and it completely changed. So if they do the same to that, I mean, obviously the obvious thing would be to add another section to the map or something. I mean, if you could do overlay, or if they do overlays, maybe. I'm surprised it hasn't actually received more support.
I mean, it's got a lot of little expansions like quests and enemies and new heroes and stuff like that.
Because it's been out a fair while now. Fantasy Flight are known for cranking out expansions very quickly. I mean, when you look at Eldritch Horror, they haven't been shy about throwing out expansions for that. And yet, this doesn't seem to have had much love at all, to be honest.
And I love the Terranoth world as well. And one of my upcoming games for next year,
Rune Wars
is way up there. But
it's his two loves meeting, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's Terranoth world and miniature games.
And I don't know what it is about this game. Every time I feel like this is an epic, awesome, heroic adventure. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, when we were playing Road to Legend for Descent, that element of this is superbly good, and I'm really, really enjoying it. And the people I played it with enjoyed it as well. So there's something about that to be said. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, adventure games are few and far between. Good ones even fewer. And I think everyone occasionally wants to just go off and, you know, travel the land and smash things with an axe, and you know, it's frowned upon to do that in Luton. So
yes. Okay, so that's my number one, Runebound from Fantasy Flight Games, 3rd edition. Alright, so that's our top 5. Pretty good selection of games, I reckon. Obviously, they're going to differ to everyone else who watches this and stuff like that, but this is based on our group and our...
Probably dramatically slow, so as we've picked games we've played for the first time, not necessarily games that were released this year, although some are, not all of them are by any stretch.
And there was only one crossover in our list.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I think there was only one last year, wasn't there? Above and Below, I think.
Oh, yes.
Possibly.
Do you have any nearly runs?
I have lots. I was saying to Jason before we started that I found this year it was very hard to make the list. To narrow it down to 5 was hard enough. Then to put those 5 in order was very difficult as well. There was a lot of games I played for the first time this year that were very good. I mentioned at the beginning, a special mention to Rhino Hero. I'm an advocate of that being in everyone's collection. That literally, I can't see how anyone would have a problem with that game. It's young, old, whatever. It's just good fun, and it's less than £7. You know, it's 2 pints.
And it takes like 10 minutes to play.
Yeah, it's great. It's great fun. So that was definitely one of mine. This was the year that I finally played Caverna for the first time. I think it's excellent. Just as good, perhaps not slightly as good, but almost as good as Agricola for me. But it was great. Le Havre, another Uwe Rosenberg one. Been a long time coming, that one as well, but I think it's really good as well. Quite deep and heavy. Railways of the World, a guy called Robert Taylor has mentioned it relentlessly to me, and there was a sale on, so I eventually picked it up, and I think it's very good. I like it a lot. Lots of expansions for that, and different where you can sort of play in different regions of the world. You know, you can go East America, West America, Europe, UK, whatever. I think Mexico. I think they've got a Japan one coming out on Kickstarter this 2017 as well. Scythe as well was very good. Perhaps not quite as mind blowing as everybody had hoped, but I still think it's very good component wise and sort of visually.
It's a solid game.
Stunning,
It's a solid
and
game.
it's very good. Yeah, but and it's taking nothing away from the game at all. I just think there's been some really great games that I've played this year and has basically pushed it down. But it is still great. And as I said, Mare Nostrum was on my list. Numerous Quadropolis, Raiders of the North Sea, and the North Sea Saga as well, which kind of tied that together. And I think we spoke about that briefly as well. The North Sea Saga was a campaign element which took Shipwrights of the North Sea, Raiders of the North Sea, and Explorers of the North Sea, and kind of tie them together in one overarching passage. We did a video for that. And it was excellent.
Really good video as well, I think.
Yeah, I liked it, and it basically, as we said in there, it elevated each one of the individual components to be better than it was as a standalone game, which meant the game of Raiders was really, really good, because I think Raiders in itself is a very solid game.
With some interesting mechanics to it as well.
Yeah, it's really clever. It's not like other worker placement games I've played. But yeah, I mean, I could go on for ages, really. I mean, I've got a big list of games, but I mean, they're just some that kind of made my short list.
For me, there was a few that made the short list as well. One which was vying for the place with Camel Up. Because I was saying in the beginning that I chose a couple of games that I had really good memories of from playing throughout the year. I was saying to Martin that every time I played it, I was like, oh man, I remember there was a really good game with that. Oh yeah, that time at the club was a really good game with that. For me, a similar game of that was Between Two Cities from Stonemaier Games. I don't think I've ever played a game like that where it's kind of like you think of Seven Wonders, but you're, instead of just thinking about what the two people next, you're literally working with the people next to you on either side.
It's interesting as well, because you actually pulled that up as a negative Seven Wonders as well, where the people on the opposite of the table are basically irrelevant to you, and they kind of are in Between Two Cities as well. But I guess it's such a short game; you don't even have time to think about the other people over there, because you're literally, what's best for here, what's best for here.
But it's just that cooperation, and it's not like it's like, well, I'm just gonna do okay with you, and I'm gonna really focus on you. You can't do that. You need to. I'm gonna. Ace this with
parity between the two, because it takes your lowest score of the two, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And also, you get paired up with someone like Molo or something. It drags you right down.
Yeah. And it's just, I've never played a game like that, so I thought it was really, really interesting.
It is very unique as well.
And it's that little fun element as well. Like where you go, oh, come on, I can't believe we just did that. Why would you screw us over?
Because if I remember right, you can't communicate with your partner, so you might both take like converging strategies sort of thing. You think, oh god, this really screwed us up now because we both did the wrong thing, if you like. And
so that was a really good one. I really like that. Another game you introduced me to this year, which is also an older game that I've not played, is Endeavour.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I really enjoyed that. I thought it was a really interesting game. Really sort of a lot of choices, a lot of interesting decisions to make.
You were surprised at how quickly it moved as well, weren't you? Yeah.
I was like, I thought it was going to be quite a heavy game, like 2 hours, 3 hours. I was like, this game's almost done and I've done nothing. Another one which you mentioned earlier, which I thought was really good, was the Ruin Saga. And I mentioned Ruin Saga specifically because I thought Shipwrights, when I played that without anything else, I thought it was an average game. It was okay, not too bad. And the Explorers was an average game.
Well, we hadn't played Explorers by itself, but I think now we've played it, I think our feeling would be it would be all right.
Yeah, it's not a terrible game. It's good. It's got nice components, nice quick flowing mechanics, but just okay. And then of course Raiders is an excellent game. But the Ruin Saga, when you add them all together in that overarching campaign that you can play in one night, is fantastic. So good. Yeah. I mean, jeez, it elevated Shipwrights and Explorers to good games for me. And,
I agree.
And made Raiders still excellent. So that was definitely worth a mention.
Yeah.
I think
I'd really like to see more campaigns of that ilk as well. That tied. I tried to get Ryan Lockett to marry together Above and Below with Islebound, and because I really like the idea of you buy. I guess it's an expansion for games that you already have that tie them together. I think that's a great idea.
What's really cool as well is you can play them all in one night, and they're all different games. It's not like a worker placement game A, worker placement game B, worker placement game C.
Yeah.
It's like this is a drafting, take that game. This is a worker placement rating, and this one's an explorer. It's completely different games, so it made the whole night flow.
I'm a bit of a sucker for exploration games as well. Games where you put tiles down and the board builds. uniquely and differently every time you do it, that sort of thing. So
Archipelagos is the greatest one for that.
yeah, absolutely.
And then I've got a couple of other mentions as well. I've got Tiny Epic Western, which Martin loves. Check out the video for that. I like the Tiny Epic series as a whole. I enjoy their games. It's really good family-oriented games. Especially the first couple of ones, Tiny Epic Defenders, Tiny Epic Kingdoms, those type of things. The Space One Galaxies. They're all really good, solid games. Nothing special, I didn't think. I think at that point, Kingdoms was my favorite because I like the fantastical races and you can play Minotaurs. But Tiny Epic Western is easily my favorite of all of them. I think there's really interesting choices there, and there's some Western theme which I love, and it has some different mechanics that I've not seen all that often.
You
So
do really need to learn how to play poker, though.
yeah, yes.
Did I win this hand? I can't work it out.
Yeah, so that's pretty good. And then my last mention is a game we played more recently, which I bought from my partner Carla, which is called Miatira. I think I pronounced that right.
Miatira, probably.
Yeah,
My
so
land
my
or my earth.
It's a Chilean game which we've got picked up on Kickstarter, and it's basically a resource conversion game where you start off with some basic resources: wheat, grapes, sheep, cows. Convert them into milk, wool, apples, and then convert that into wine and so on.
Is it Agricola Light, or is it very different?
No, I would say Agricola Light. Yeah, it's really good. So really enjoyed that. I've played it a couple of times now in this Christmas period. Really enjoyed it. I think Martin will enjoy that as well. So there's a couple of good mentions. I thought there were games we played this year for the first time. They were really good. They were close to making the list, and more as well. Which I don't want to sit here forever.
Yeah. I mean, how do you feel the year was as a whole?
I think it's really good. I mean, I know I watched the Dice Tower guys saying their top 10, and they thought it was really lackluster. But I think that has a lot to do with situations. And the situation that we're in is we're lucky we have a large group of gamers that we can play with on a regular basis, and a large amount of games to play. So whenever I meet up with you guys and we play games, it's always fun, and I'm always enjoying it. Even when we're playing games that are 50 years old, or a game we just got this weekend. And yeah, we make mistakes, and
Not.
Yeah, and but because there's such a large variety as well. Like I'm more maybe a miniatures guy, but I enjoy such a variety of different games.
I think it's fair to say your tastes have changed, because you basically started in the hobby coming from a miniature background. I think as the years have gone by, your tastes have kind of expanded, maybe changed direction a little bit and whatnot. I mean, you're still drawn to miniatures, but there are plenty of games you like that have no miniatures at all. Yeah. I mean, you put Seven Wonders Duel on that's just cards, Runebound has fairly okay miniatures, but just to represent your figure, and that's it,
Well, Miatira is a completely Euro game, and that was really close as well. I like all sorts of games, and so there's such a lot of variety out there. I don't think I don't know when we're ever going to reach a point where I'm going to go, that year was crap. It's just fun every year.
I mean, to a degree. I mean, you can see we've both got games on our list that came out before this year, some substantially more. It doesn't really make a difference if a year is bad, because there are so many games that we can, like, I've never played X, so maybe it's the time to pick that one up, that sort of thing, to fill in that blank. It doesn't really matter. It's not like a movie year or something where the summer blockbusters are all shit, and so nobody wants to see them, and so you feel a bit deflated there, or video games or something. And I get that the same argument can be made, but I think board games tend to have a longer shelf life than those kind of things. It's all about the what's now, what's coming up, and things like in video games and movies, things like that.
I also feel it has a bigger replayability than those two.
Absolutely.
I find it difficult to watch a movie for a second or third time, especially in the same year. But you can play a board game as many times as you want.
Some certainly you can, and video games. I mean, there aren't many people that go back to play a video game, 10 years ago, because the technology is dramatically improved, and so you play them, and it's like walking through molasses or something, like that. And particularly highly regarded games, you go back and think, my God, nostalgia played a big part in that.
Yeah, I'm one of those people.
Whereas I think you're going back sort of 5-10 years in board games. Okay, yes, things have moved on. But there's still plenty of give in those games.
You have a game that's 20 years ago in your...
Absolutely, yeah, and I think it's awesome, and I would recommend it, absolutely. So yeah, I think overall it's been a good one as well. I mean, there's been a few standout ones, some fairly big hype ones. Kickstarter's still making a mark. Call Me or Not is still making a mark.
Talking about games that didn't make the mark. What would your dud for the year be?
Our duds of the year, right? Or disappointments / disappointments. Okay, so I've got a very nearly made it, which was Tiny Epic Western. I didn't like that game at all. I think it's fair to say. I can't honestly remember what it was about it now. Possibly a random element. Yeah. But yeah, it didn't. It wasn't my thing at all. That. I've got an honourable mention to Idlebound, which I'm a big fan of Red Raven games. Ryan Lockhart, I think, does exemplary work. His design, art, publication. His Kickstarters are always really well run. They're generally on time. He's very good.
And above all that, the games are really good as well.
Usually, yeah. But Idlebound, and I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm saying it left me disappointed in so much as
it's not a game for us.
Yeah, it wasn't. There wasn't enough to it for me to want to play it. Well, again, to be honest, I mean, if someone really wanted to play it, I probably would, but I can't say I'm in a hurry to do that. So that was a very nearly. But my overall dud of the year, and I know this will be disputed by many, in fact, is Captain Sonar. I played that in the real-time version, not the turn-based version. I thought it was truly, truly dreadful. Absolutely awful. So, for those of you that don't know, you've got 4 stations. It's submarine versus submarine, team versus team. 4 stations. You've got a captain and a navigator and a first mate and an engineer or something like that. It's hugely chaotic to the point where, I mean, at one point we almost had an argument with the other team, or the other team more specifically nearly had an argument with us, because it was very difficult to ascertain when we were talking about which direction to go in and when we were actually moving. So we kind of quickly injected some house rules to say, okay, when we're moving, we say move east, move west, whatever. And also, there are 2 roles which have some acetates. The captain and the first mate, or whatever they are, navigator, I think it is. They've got some acetate and they're drawing where they're going. One of them is the direction that the submarine, are going, and the other one is listening to the other team and they're drawing where they're going. And they're cool. They've got kind of a deduction element. So you're obviously trying to find out where they are by listening, working out you're drawing on this acetate and moving around, that sort of thing. And then the other 2 roles are bollocks. They're basically cross a box, cross a box, cross a box. This is now ready to go. They have no thoughts, particularly, I think it's the first mate role, has literally nothing. It's just like, I tick that box, I tick that box, I tick that box. This is now ready. And the engineer one was a little bit more thought, because you're crossing, you've got like a section when you go east, you cross a certain box and it shuts down systems, and then once all of them are filled in, you can then wipe all the damage off, kind of thing. And obviously all of those damage boxes are spread over different directions, so you have to kind of go, okay, we need to move north so I can wipe the damage off, and then we can start using the torpedoes. A little bit more interesting, but basically shit. So yeah, I found it was very, very poor. Wasn't to my liking at all. I know some people really do like it, but it was not for me. And I think possibly part of that is the real-time element. That doesn't do a lot for me.
Well, because you played what's it called? Dice Duel.
Yeah, Space Cadets Dice Duel. Yeah, shortly after. Yeah, and it left me feeling the same. My problem with the Dice Duel one was literally I didn't even need to look up. I was just like this constantly. I could have been in a room with nobody else, and it wouldn't have made any difference. And I will have a little nod, because for the first year I played Rum and Bones as well. Whee, that's fairly shit too.
Was that this year?
Yep, it was around February we played it. My God.
Did I play that? Man, that would be on mine as well.
It wasn't very good.
If I didn't play it last year, then that would be close.
I would feel aggrieved if I'd backed that on Kickstarter. In fact, you bought it or traded it from someone, and I have now since got rid of it again. It's just bad.
Well, the thing I'm talking about that's not my dad here, but talking about that, I'm a big miniature guy, and there's a big pirate miniatures show, tons of stuff. Cool Mini are not one of my favorite publishers because of all the miniatures they do and stuff. And I remember getting that thinking, right, let's have a look at this. I'm going to paint this up. It's going to look great. I'm going to do some great bases with these. I played the first game of this and I was like, man, this game is shit.
Yeah.
I don't really like this at all. It's so boring and monotonous and it's just the same thing over and over and over. And
It makes me wonder if they wanted to do some pirate sculpts and then they started working on the game afterwards.
Well, yeah. I mean, what a lot of people don't know is the core of the miniatures in the game was bought from a Spanish company
Okay.
called I can't remember. I used to buy some Spartan figures from them. But anyway, the point is, I played the game. I showed Martin. I knew he was gonna hate it, but I had to play it with him just to show him. And it's just after this, like, yeah, this game is shit. I'm getting rid of this.
And it's sort of a tower defense game, isn't it? But it meant that
But
most of your
luck.
troops, you have like a captain type figure or a couple of those, like leader figures that you've got free movement of. But everything else, you have piles of miniatures, and all they do is walk forward, walk forward. It's just fiddly for the sake of it. You have no choice or anything.
They can't
literally
move anywhere.
just move forward. They can't go left, right. They just walk forward until they hit other things.
And when that Kraken comes up, it's basically a reset button.
Yeah.
You're doing badly, let's reset.
Yeah, basically the Kraken, all it does is add a half an hour. That's what it is. It's literally just play for another half an hour card. You know, the Kraken's awake. That's what it does. So, I mean, there was an honourable mention because obviously I was going to hate it, and I never thought I was going to like it either. But yeah, I didn't much like that either. But anyway, my dud of the year was Captain Sonar.
All right, I got an honourable mention for dud of the year, which is actually the worst game I played this year, but that was by design, if that makes sense. We were playing Halloween and we all chose to play this game as a bit of a laugh, which was Atmosphere, the DVD game. Man, that game is crap. It's like Frustration. The game where you play. But I mean, like I said, by design we played that and we all knew it was going to be rubbish. So that's not going to be my game of the disappointment of the year. My disappointment of the year is actually Islebound.
Oh, interesting.
And the reason why is because I loved the look of it. And it's the most disappointing thing for me because I like the idea of the exploration, the resource conversion and the engine building and all the other stuff that Ryan does so well in his games. When I played this game, I felt flat. It just was like, this game is...
It's kind of uninteresting. It's just a bit dull, meandering. There's not... I mean, I won't say there's no choices because there are, but none of them are that interesting to me. You just kind of move around.
There's no long-term strategy. It's just like, well, this turn I can go there and I can get this, which next turn I could probably trade it for that, so I'll do that.
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
Yeah,
and I don't know. It just left me really disappointed. I think the extra disappointment comes from the fact that Red Raven games normally do so excellent. I mean, above and below, so good.
But we both put above and below on our list last year.
Yeah. And I mean, City of Iron is a really good game as well.
Empire of the Void, 8 Minute Empire.
And I know there's another one which I can't think of now. But they're all so good. And then this one, it's not a terrible game. It's just, I mean, it's much better than Atmosphere and Rum and Bones. But it was the most disappointing for me because I had such high hopes for it. And therefore, that's why my disappointment of the year.
I would honestly, if I was going to give a title to what dud would definitely be Sonar, but disappointment would definitely be Islebound for me. I was hoping I would like it. I was expecting to like it. Things like people like Rado gushed about it when he played the kind of sort of pre-release or the prototype copy he got for the Kickstarter and said how amazing it was. And when I watched the video, I thought this looks really cool. And when I actually came to playing it, I was really left underwhelmed completely. I'm with you on that one, definitely. I mean, I mentioned it myself, and we've independently covered these lists, so
yeah,
that will show you. Although we did play this, although you played it before, but we did play the same game the second time, certainly.
Yeah, that was the video game, but I played Milo's copy the week before that as well, and I already knew. I was like, I'm not sure about this. And it's not, I don't know. I don't want to slag it off too much because I know other people like it and stuff, but
it's not a bad game. Though. No. That's the thing. It's to us it was disappointing because I guess we put Red Raven on a bit of a pedestal. Other things that he's done, we really both liked Above and Below a lot. It was on our top list last year. And I guess you're kind of wanting to repeat that same sort of success.
Yeah.
And when it came out, it didn't. Simple as that. And so we just left a bit meh.
It's one of those where I very, very seldomly when someone goes, let's play a game, and I go, all right, what do you want to play? And they go, let's play this, and I'll be like, yeah, let's play something else rather.
Yeah.
This is
Find-
the
find
one
an
time,
excuse, yeah.
this is the one time I would actually go, actually, can we play something else?
Mm.
Because I'm normally open to playing anything. Yeah. Okay. So last thing to mention, which I thought would be quite interesting, is that your number one from last year.
Mm-hmm.
How often did you play it this year?
Right, my number one from last year, if I recall correctly, was Viticulture with Tuscany, and I played it last in February. So yeah, that was 10 months ago, roughly. So not a lot, I say. And that's not that I don't like it anymore, just, I mean, you saw that we've played so many games for the first time as well, that just haven't got around to play it again, I guess. And I can't honestly say why that's happened. It just by circumstance, I guess, more than anything else. But conversely, my number two was Pandemic Legacy. I've not played that again, so.
Well, yeah. What's quite interesting is my number one last year was Shadows of Brimstone, and my number two was Arcadia Quest, I think. And I'm not playing Arcadia Quest at all this year, and that's not because I dislike the game or not. It's one of those interesting things for me as a miniature gamer. I want my miniatures painted and all set up and ready to go. And because both of those games are campaign-based games, I want to play a full campaign of them. So I never bring it out just for a one-off game, and neither of those got played this year, which is really, really disappointing for me. So the reason why I brought that up was I thought that'd be interesting to see. Like my number one this year was Ruinbound, which I'm almost certain to play again next year. But both those two I never played this year, so I need to correct that and get them onto the table. But other than that, that was a really successful year of gaming.
Very much so, yeah.
And I'm looking forward to getting some more games in for the next year.
Yeah, I'm especially looking forward to things like the UK Games Expo again. It's growing every year, and I can't wait to sort of go there. Hopefully, it's going to get to a point where more releases are coming out. So we had a couple this year. I'm hoping that again, with its growth, there's going to be more releases coming up. Kind of so we don't miss out like we do with Essen. Basically, Essen is like a place where they soft release games, and it tends to be if you don't get it then, you're not going to get it for 6 months, or possibly at all, depending on the game. And so hopefully maybe this will be another way to pick up those kind of like smaller release games at the expo. And I hear Dice Tower coming again, and they're bringing Z along as well. It'd be nice to meet him as well.
Yeah, for sure. That was good. I thought the expo was excellent. I thought there was a couple of other little smaller conventions growing in stature as well, like Dragon Meet, and obviously the Aircon.
Yeah, Aircon is coming up. HandyCon, a local one to us, is coming up in 3 weeks, I think it is, which is a new convention. A friend Paul is running, and I saw a video of the setup, like the hotel rooms and stuff that they've like almost like boardrooms or something they've set up. It looks pretty good, plenty of space anyway, which is something the expo really suffers with. Plenty of gaming space. So yeah, it should be a good year. I mean, gaming feels like it's growing year on year, not just in terms of the releases, but in terms of the popularity of it. I mean, there are people joining the Facebook group I admin like constantly, and they're often saying, I've only been gaming for a year, I've only been gaming for a few months, and so obviously new people are being injected into it. We're getting board game cafes coming up all over the place. Obviously more and more conventions and things like that. So yeah, I mean,
Clubs are growing.
Yeah, everything is just on the up. I mean, it's becoming more accepted and more accepting, and everything's.
I wonder when you're going to reach that bubble of because like there's a few games coming out next year that I'm really looking forward to. Obviously, Ruin Wars I mentioned earlier, Mythic Battles, Pantheon. I'm really looking forward to that. But I wonder when we're going to reach that crest of where, every game they come. I kind of feel like the computer game industry's reached that point where every game is like
a sequel.
I've seen this, or it's just another game like that sort of thing.
Well, but it's possible, certainly. I mean, one of the things that sets us apart, the kind of board game with video games, is that you need to be extremely technically competent to make a video game, whereas, no disrespect to any designers of board games, I think a little bit like a book, everyone could have a board game or a novel inside them, and putting it on paper, okay, balancing and playtesting and all that kind of thing is aside, I think actually getting the bare bones of the game down is actually not overly difficult to do that, whereas a video game, I wouldn't even know where to start.
Yeah.
So I think it's possible that that bubble will come along, but I think there are so many people coming along and so many new people being injected into the hobby that are coming along with new ideas and whatnot. That, I mean, we're seeing innovation year on year on year on year, and now they kind of integrate technology into these things as well. Like, I really like try World of Yoho and what's that Mask of Anubis one as well, where you
Yes.
can wear your phone up like this and you're describing this room to people, isn't that? So
Ironically, I've not even played the like Manchester Madness and
yeah, Descent
Descent
to
with the
Legend,
apps. Yeah, I mean, I had a look at it and we almost got it down to the table one night, but it was just like there's so many other games to play, and the amount of Kickstarters that keep coming out. I mean, I get quite a few people contacting me, asking if they can play their Kickstarters and put it up on videos and stuff like that. So the amount of games that are coming through is just crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, that illustrates the point. I mean, while we might get a bubble burst in terms of people physically not being able to keep up with the releases, whether the kind of creative bubble will burst, I don't know. That's a difficult one to say, really.
All right, cool. Well, I hope you guys found our list informative. I thought it was quite interesting, talking about what the year was like, and I'm
Always
actually
interested to see how different our lists are as well,
Yeah.
because I think it's fair to say I probably lean towards the Euro side way more than you do, but you do have quite a lot less Ameritrash sort of games on your list this year as well.
It's interesting, and considering how much we play together, and it's never reached. I don't think we ever reach a point where we go, like we meet up tonight, and you go, let's play Rio Grande, and I go, I don't want to play that. It's like, yeah, let's do it, man. And then you go, well, I go say, let's play Descent. Yeah, let's do it, man.
I mean, it's very rare that one of us loves a game the other one hates, which helps.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not very many that fall into that bracket.
I mean, the only game that like we mentioned now was Tiny Epic Western, which I wouldn't play that with you again because.
Or Galaxy Trucker would be the other one.
Yeah.
That's not for me. Again, it's that real time element. I'm sure I don't like that. I'm sure there is.
But yeah, so it's really interesting. I think seeing, and I'm going to try and get my friends that you guys see on the videos and stuff to do a little quick short snippet, say 2 minutes long, of their game of the year that they played for the first time. I'll do a separate video for that. Put that up, and you can see what they thought their best game of the year was. And that might be interesting to see out as well, because we play with quite a lot of different people with different types of games. I mean, our friend Tony, he always has some interesting games. And then you got people like Molo, who...
Well, Molo, I mean, he's brought round several new games to my house to play, and usually I've never heard of them. And I consider myself fairly up to speed with what's going on in the sort of gaming world, and he just turns up with a game like, what is this? Where have you found it?
I'm pretty sure Molo goes to a Board Game Geek, and where we started, the 100s.
The hotness on the one starts at like 5,000.
That's it, yeah, it goes backwards. Like, let's see what game I can find the guys don't know about. So that's quite interesting to see what those guys like, and also playing with those guys is really interesting as well. I mean, you've got such a lot of variety of opinions and stuff. That's kind of why I like doing the videos as well. When we're doing the videos, it's just for fun, just to put out the content there for people to see what the games are like. But at the end of the video, we always give our opinions of what we thought of the game as we played and what overall. And it's quite interesting listening to everyone on the table with their own opinions, because I never say to someone, well, you need to say you like this game, or don't slag it off. Just on the cuff, say what you think.
In honesty, that's one of the reasons that you've been a bit reluctant to review some Kickstarter games, because someone gives you a copy of a game, say, have this game, do a review video of it, and then you play it and think, I hated it.
Yeah.
How do I say that to someone? It's really difficult, because it's like, this is your creation, your baby. How do I tell someone I really hated the game?
Before it's even made it to the market. This is a video.
It's not a good advert for the Kickstarter.
No, that's quite interesting as well, yeah. So anyway, we've rambled on enough. I think this video is going up to about an hour now already. So thanks for watching this if you did. And we'll see you guys next year, same time, for another top 5 video. Maybe I reckon we should do them intermittently, like 6 months apart. Some other,
if there's that many coming out. Yeah.
Anyway. Alright, cool. Thanks a lot.